What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of The Girl Who Talks Sports, the podcast where we talk sports and other girly things. I'm Sam Cardona, and thank you guys so much for listening today. We have a lot of things to talk about for this week. We have an interview with my brother, who I've talked about many times, diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan, with the Steelers being 8-0. I decided to have him on to kind of go over the Cowboys game and also maybe a quick little preview to the Bengals game next week. But before we get into all of that, of course, I have to do my plugs. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you get your podcasts from, and also leave a review. And also, don't forget to subscribe on the YouTube channel, The Girl Who Talks Sports. I post full-length podcast videos on there. I also have a lot of things lined up to do some fun, extra content that's not podcast related, but of course will be football/sports related. So make sure that you turn the bell on to get the notifications when I upload a new video, because who knows when that's going to be. And finally, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, TGWTS Podcast. And also, before we get into today's episode, I do want to give a quick shout out to this girl at Tongue Tied Apparel. I am currently wearing, I'll move my microphone so that you can see, I'm currently wearing this beautiful Giants sweatshirt that was custom made with flannel sleeves attached to it. It is absolutely perfect. It's vintage. I'll move my hair out of the way as well. Obviously, if you're listening on the podcast, you can't see what I'm talking about, but you can go to her Instagram page. I'll put all of the links and everything in the bio of the podcast and the YouTube video. Please go check her out. I have several. This is my third piece from her now, and I am obsessed with it. This is custom made. I asked her specifically for the Giants with the flannel sleeves to make it a sweatshirt, and she completely delivered. I am obsessed with this sweatshirt, so make sure you check her out. Tongue Tied Apparel. I found her on Instagram through my friend Jordan, who you guys know now as my Eagles pal. Also, Jordan will be joining us again next week for the other Giants-Eagles game, so make sure that you tune in next week to listen to Jordan and I yell about things again. But please give Tongue Tied Apparel a look-see. Again, you can make custom-made things. Whatever team that you like, whatever sport you like, she will provide for you, and she's very good at what she does. So again, I'll put the links for all of that into the description, and thank you to Tongue Tied Apparel for my beautiful top. I absolutely love it. So, without further ado, let's get into NFL Week 9. So, NFL Week 9 was something, for sure. We had a lot of interesting games happen, games that we really weren't expecting, especially in that Steelers-Cowboys game, but again, after I go over all of NFL Week 9, we'll get into my interview with my brother Danny. So let's start off first with Buffalo. So Buffalo played the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks, I kind of was expecting in this game that they were going to go off. And I knew Buffalo was going to put up a fight, but I didn't know they were going to put up this much of a fight. It was beautiful. Josh Allen, 415 yards, 4 touchdowns, 8 different receivers. If this man is currently for me, especially going up against the Seahawks and Russell Wilson, one of the top MVP candidates for this year. He did outstandingly amazing, and he even had his own rushing touchdown, which was glorious. Everything about it was fantastic. The Buffalo Bills offense severely exposed this Seattle's defense because, seriously, I was just like, oh my God, the fact that the Buffalo Bills were able to put up this many points on the board against the Seattle Seahawks was a sight to see for sure. And Russell Wilson also, he had 2 interceptions. Not the best day for the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, they put up points and they did. It was a very good game. but the Buffalo Bills came out on top to beat the Seattle Seahawks, and I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. Even with the Dolphins doing as well as they are, the Buffalo Bills will be taking the AFC East this year, and I will die on this hill. Okay, next. The Panthers were another team that put up an amazing fight against the Kansas City Chiefs. I was very impressed. They obviously had their star running back come back. Christian McCaffrey was back from an injury this week. Unfortunately, Christian McCaffrey will now be out again for a different injury. So anybody that has Christian McCaffrey on their fantasy team, I'm very, very sorry. But the Panthers put up a big fight against the Chiefs. They only lost because they missed a 67-yard field goal, which would have put them 1 point above. So they lost. I believe the total score was 33-31. Teddy Bridgewater had this gorgeous first down that he jumped over a ton of people in the air. Really amazing stuff. We can't sleep on the Chiefs. We can't sleep on Patrick Mahomes. I feel like they've been quite quiet recently, but obviously they're still the Kansas City Chiefs, but the Panthers really put up. I was not expecting that, for real. I wasn't expecting the Panthers to be able to do that well against the Chiefs, but they did, and it was also another very good game. Patrick Mahomes also passed Dan Marino in passing touchdowns. He got 100 passing touchdowns in the fastest amount of time. So Patrick Mahomes, again, we cannot sleep on the man. He is insane. Next up, we have the Ravens, and they beat the Colts. Marcus Peters, the main thing out of this game was that Marcus Peters had a very controversial interception. In my opinion, I believe it was not an interception, but basically what happened was Marcus Peters intercepted Phillip Rivers. He caught the ball. He had possession of it. And then as he fell to the ground, or after he hit the ground, the ball came out of his hands, but they said that he maintained enough possession of it to have a interception. It was very confusing. I was like, okay, I don't know what a catch is, to be quite honest with you, and we'll talk about that again in the Chargers game as well. It was all over the place, for real. But the Ravens ended up beating the Colts, and another big story that came out of this game was that Dez Bryant has come back into the NFL. He was made active off of the practice squad from the Baltimore Ravens. However, we didn't really see much from Dez Bryant. I think he played like 2 snaps and nothing was thrown to him, but nonetheless, Dez Bryant, ex-Cowboy, back in the NFL, and he seems to be very happy and pleased to be back. All right, moving on to Atlanta against Denver. Atlanta didn't blow a lead. They did not blow the lead that they had. They were able to maintain it. Matt Ryan also had this gorgeous 51-yard touchdown throw to, I hope I'm not butchering this poor man's name, Olamide Zaccheaus. Gorgeous throw. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Loved everything about it. But Atlanta, the big thing out of here was that they didn't blow a lead. So, incredible. Good for you, Atlanta fans. The Titans recovered from last week's loss against the Bengals. They ended up winning 24-17 over the Bears. So really that was it out of that one. Ryan Tannehill did have a very, very nice throw to A.J. Brown, 40 yards, and A.J. Brown did this reach that was out of this world, and it counted as the touchdown. He ran up to the goalpost and hugged the goalpost. It was quite pure, actually. But the Titans, I would have been surprised if they came into this game not fired up from last week, because losing to the Bengals is pretty rough. Apart from Joe Burrow being very, very good at what he's doing right now, to lose to the Bengals after being the Titans that everybody has been afraid of this season, it was a pretty rough loss for them. So getting this win over the Bears was very crucial for them. The Vikings got another division win over the Lions, so that's really good. Dalvin Cook, of course, coming out here, chefing it up, being absolutely amazing. The past 2 weeks, I saw this stat. From the past 2 weeks, Dalvin Cook has 52 carries, 369 yards, 4 receivings, 109 yards receiving, and 6 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks. So that's just amazing. Just the kid's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. And the fact that his injury did not sideline him for the rest of the season was very beneficial for the Vikings. If you guys missed last week's episode where I had my friend Gabe on, he's a big Vikings fan, really talked up Dalvin Cook. If you guys want to listen to that interview, about them beating the Packers, that's up obviously on all platforms and YouTube, so you can check that out if you want. To my Giants, my beautiful, beautiful Giants, I'm repping them this week in my beautiful tongue-tied apparel. I will again take a win over the Washington football team. I will take it, okay? I know that it seems to be the only team that we can beat this year, but I have very, very high expectations for next week against the Eagles. Genuinely, I really, really think that they are going to do well because they did so well in the past game they played against the Eagles. If the Giants beat the Eagles, I will just be the happiest person on the planet. Because at this point, the NFC East is still way up in the air. A team could seriously win this division with 5 wins. We got 2 under our belt. We got 3 to go. I just genuinely think that this division, I know I mentioned in the past, I believe the Eagles will be taking this division. And they were just on a bye, so there was nothing really going on. I mean, the Cowboys just lost again, and now we just beat the football team. This division is insane, but this defense for the New York Giants, I absolutely adore them. I adore the Giants defense, but I tweeted this out actually on the podcast's Twitter page. If our defense was to hurt Alex Smith, because Alex Smith came in for the football team this past Sunday, I was like, if we are responsible for re-hurting this man, I will be genuinely upset. I only want to see Alex Smith succeed. But that didn't happen. He just couldn't perform against our defense, and we just did some immaculate things. So that was for the Giants game, and I'm very excited for next week versus the Eagles. The Texans got a win over the Jaguars. It was only a 2-point game. Jake Luton came in for Gardner Minshew, who was out with, I believe, a fractured finger. He had a beautiful touchdown run in the fourth quarter. Otherwise, it wasn't enough to win over the Texans. And J.J. Watt also got his 100th career sack, which is insane. Absolutely insane. So congrats to J.J. Watt for that amazing milestone in your defensive career. The Raiders beat the Chargers. Okay. I have a lot to say about this because you will see in this interview with my brother, we decided to wear shirts that we got each other. So I got him a 7-Eleven shirt that's supposed to represent Ben Roethlisberger and Chase Claypool. Again, it's very cute, and you'll see him wearing it yellow and black and white. And then he got me a shirt that says "The future is Herbert," because I've expressed many times I absolutely love Justin Herbert, and I think that he does so well. So we are wearing each other's shirts that we got for one another as an early Christmas gift, and it's very, very pure. But I genuinely believe that Justin Herbert is the future of the LA Chargers. I think that he is a great rookie quarterback. He makes some rookie mistakes, but you can tell that he has this veterans mentality, and he's a gunslinger. He's kind of like this old soul come up to represent these older gunslingers in this 2020 draft class. But at the 1 second mark, 1 second was left, Justin Herbert throws a beautiful dime to Mike Williams in the end zone. Mike Williams catches the ball. He's got a defender all over him. Drops to the floor. They called it a touchdown, but wait, of course, Whoa, I just said that super New York. Oh my God. Of course. Jesus. He had to go, they had to go and review it in the booth. And then they ended up flipping the call, reversing the call, I should say, to an incomplete pass. Meaning the Chargers would not have won this game 32-31 against the Las Vegas Raiders. Oh, the more I watch it, the more I get upset, but also the more I watch it, the more I realize that it was a good call, that it was an incomplete pass. But when you watch it in real time, it looks like a catch. He looks like he maintains possession. The defender is all over him. He looks like he gets 2 feet into the end zone, and that it's a touchdown and the Chargers win. But unfortunately, it was ruled an incomplete pass, and I understand, but still, I was genuinely upset. You could see Justin Herbert was so upset about it, and he was just standing there in the field like, oh, come on, I did everything I could. And that's honestly, Justin, you did everything that you could. That was a phenomenal game against a very tough defense with the Raiders. They were all over him. And the fact that they almost won that game really shows something. And I know that a loss is a loss, but the performance that Justin Herbert has been putting up, same thing with Joe Burrow, the performances that they keep putting up are something incredible for a rookie quarterback. So props to you, Justin. I will die on this Justin Herbert hill. And don't worry about it, man. It is what it is. We also saw a glimpse of Tyrod Taylor. Justin Herbert had to come out for a moment to get evaluated for an injury after getting sacked by Max Crosby. He seemed to be fine, but we did see Tyrod come in, so that kind of clears up my thought process that I didn't know where Tyrod was at. I didn't know if he was going through, some more hospitalizations with, they've stabbed him in the lung. But he seemed to be okay, and he came in for a snap or two, and then Justin Herbert was able to come back in to finish off that game. We have 3 games left here. Miami got a really big win over Arizona. This was a very fun game to watch. It was Tua v. Kyler, 2 very young quarterbacks, and it just was back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Really just a shootout of a game. I love seeing these young guys tackle one another. It's just really some entertaining football for sure. Tua had this gorgeous gorgeous run with the football. He was able to get out of a sack. He's running around all over the place. Really good stuff. I think it just goes to show why Brian Flores decided it was a good idea to put Tua in instead of keeping Ryan Fitzpatrick, because Tua he's supposed to be this franchise quarterback that they've been waiting for. Tua is the guy that they've been waiting for. And unfortunately, even though Fitzmagic is an excellent, excellent, excellent football player, he is not the future of the Dolphins, and that's Tua. And I understand why Brian Flores thought it was a good idea to put Tua into the game. Then Sunday Night Football, which was supposed to be like this amazing game. Drew Brees versus Tom Brady. I was really expecting some insanely amazing stuff to come out of this game. And it just was kaputs. It was nothing. Tom Brady got 0 touchdowns. They kicked a field goal at the end of this game. They were losing with 0 points for the entirety of the game until the very end. Drew Brees and the healthy Saints offense. Now they got Michael Thomas come back. Emmanuel Sanders, I believe, came back. Alvin Kamara has been, doing Alvin Kamara things this whole time, but they obviously dominated on the offensive side. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, went on a McDonald's run or something. They just didn't want to show up to this game. And they put up 38 points against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Saints defense was able to just completely obliterate Tom Brady. Apparently, statistically, this is one of the worst games in Tom Brady's entire career. Just garbage. Absolute garbage. I was really expecting this to be just this amazing game. I mean, week 1, we saw Drew Brees and Tom Brady play one another, and Tom Brady did lose, but it was a good game still. I remember it being a decent game. And yet, 38-3 was the final score. I love a good, I think I tweeted this out also. I love seeing Tom Brady lose on a silver platter, handed it to him like, you got no shot, man. There's no way you're winning this game. But against Drew Brees, I wanted it to be a really good game. I wanted it to be entertained on Sunday night, and I just wasn't. And it just was completely just awful. Tom Brady threw for 3 interceptions. They ended up taking Drew Brees out of the game. They put Jameis Winston in the game. We haven't seen Jameis Winston this whole time. Now he came in because they were just obliterating them. So why keep Drew in and get him hurt? So Jameis came in. He ate the W's again. I can't even do it with my fingers. It's like he makes a W with his fingers and eats them. I don't know. It's a really weird thing Jameis Winston does. He did it while he was on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I guess it's really exciting for him to beat his old team, which apparently didn't want him. So that was that game. And then we were blessed on Monday Night Football with a very good game against the Patriots and the Jets, which the Jets almost won. The Jets almost beat the Patriots, which would have been a brutal loss for the Patriots, I must say. But at the very end of this game, it was 27-27. I was, at this point, usually Monday nights, I'm like, please don't go into overtime. Please, for the love of all that is good and holy, do not go into overtime. I want to go to bed. But I wanted it to go into overtime. I was like, I would love to see the Jets beat the Patriots in overtime. But Patriots got down the field, scored a field goal. The final score was 30-27. Didn't get that, but the Jets are now 0-9. And as of, let's see, where are we at today? It's Tuesday, November 10th, 3:20 in the afternoon. Adam Gase still has a job, and they are 0-9. But we did see a very good performance of the Jets last week. All right, that is a quick 20-minute recap of NFL Week 9. I'm going to show you guys now the interview with my brother, where we talk Steelers Cowboys, and once that is over, we'll come back and do our segments. So please enjoy this interview with my brother, Danny Cardona. All right, everybody, we are here today, joined by my brother, Danny Cardona, who has been on the show several times before.
Hello.
But it's been a while. And obviously, I've spoken about you many times on the show because you are probably the most diehard Steelers fan that I know. And figuring that they are now 8-0, I figured that you could come on the podcast. We can talk a little Steelers, talk about the game that happened on Sunday, and possibly what's going to be happening next week, depending on COVID protocols and stuff like that. So, first things first, right? Steelers are 8-0.
Yes.
First time in franchise history, Steelers are 8-0. But the Cowboys game, little shaky. Right?
Shaky to say the least.
Right.
I call it a trap.
A trap. Why do you call it a trap?
Because it's what if we're just playing down to that level and then they just take advantage of that and they think they're great. Mm-hmm. But then the next game goes on and they're like, wait, they fooled us into thinking we're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This has been going on for a long time now.
Right, because the Cowboys obviously are not in a good place. They are losing quarterbacks left and right. They lost Dak. They lost Andy Dalton. And now this guy, Garrett Gilbert, started, yes, who seems to be probably the best starter for the Cowboys.
It was between him or this other guy, Rush Cooper. Fun fact about Gilbert was that he was picked up by the Browns practice squad.
Ah.
A practice squad QB.
Interesting.
A month ago, to get depth.
Well, he seemed to be the best bet for the Cowboys in this game, but the Steelers were able to come through. And in my opinion, I think the Steelers' defense these past weeks have kind of been the reason why they've been winning a lot of these games.
Well, yes, part of that is true. Yes, but give the offense some credit here and there as well, carrying their fair share. But yes, props to that defense because they don't let the other opponent score at will and the hole is too deep to climb out of. They actually been holding their own, which has been very good.
Right, and Minkah Fitzpatrick has been probably your best aspect of other than TJ Watt on this team, because it's like every single week he does something incredible, whether it's get an interception or block a pass in the end zone. Or a pick six. I mean, it's very possible he might be
it's
contender for Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, then him and Watt would then have competition, because Watt's also in that conversation as well about how he's been playing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to Minkah, he's been actually, to start the season, he was relatively quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone was like, oh my God, was this a fluke?
Yeah.
Did we make... This is... Steeler fans are always like that, we're going to have another great year like that, and then he's quiet because... And they're like, oh, overrated now.
Yeah.
Not true. I say that because, for one, quarterbacks know what he's capable of, so they try to stay away from him and pick on the weak link.
Right.
Minkah's not on that other side, so they're like, hey, let me throw to that side because he's not as good as him.
Right.
But if the wrestling with Garrett Gilbert did not get that memo that Minkah's on that other side, and he's gonna, let me try to Hail Mary that, because, I'm not gonna be over there and swatting it or almost intercepting it in the end zone and running the other way.
And you're right, on the offensive side of the ball, they are very good, and they just picked up Chase Claypool, who you have your 7-Eleven shirt on that I got you, and he got me this, which says... the future is Herbert, which is so true.
Go to Barstool Sports and buy those shirts.
This is not sponsored by Barstool Sports, but have to make sure that no free ads. But
sell out.
So Chase Claypool has obviously been an insanely good part of this offense. I mean, he broke a Steelers franchise record a few weeks ago with those 4 touchdowns.
Not just a Steelers record, but a rookie wide receiver record.
Right.
He was like up there with Moss.
Yeah, Randy Moss.
For rookie year in touchdowns. Like in his first 7 games, he caught a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you're up there with Moss, it's like something
It's a big deal.
It's kind of something to talk about a little bit.
And now he's in the Hall of Fame, so you're relating somebody to a Hall of Fame wide receiver. It's a pretty big deal.
Well, of course, Claypool's got a long way to go before he could get to Moss's level. But... the future looks bright. I think we made a good choice.
I think so, too. I mean, he's just, every single week, I'm just like, he's just incredible. All he does is, he's a very good target to throw it to. He seems pretty spunky in terms of his personality,
A little bit. It rubbed, he didn't get it. He's been getting it from that wide receiver room a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, they have strong personalities, for sure.
Strong, fun personalities that...
And they're all young guys, too. Like, you got Juju, and you got, who else is in the wide receiver?
Deontay Johnson from last year was picked up from that draft. Him, Claypool, just trying to remember there was other guys in there, but,
It's a very young group.
It's a young group of, 23, 24-year-olds. But I think I could be wrong. There might be an older vet in there. Maybe, I don't know. And I'm supposed to know every single guy on the roster. But, not to mention you also have Eric Ebron as your tight end.
Right.
Who's been very good for Ben as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's also got that spunky attitude, too. Right. If you see him in the end zone, he's doing his celebrations. Juju is, hyping him up. He's always in his touchdown celebrations. Fun fact was, I think it was the first game when it was against the Giants.
Yeah.
And touchdown. Sorry.
It was so sad.
But, he did the TikTok dance.
Yeah.
The knee dance.
Yeah.
But what's funny is that Ebron joined late and tried to do it too. And then when yesterday when he caught that Ebron touchdown was pretty much the game winner.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was a really, really good touchdown.
And he did the jump man, the leap.
Yes.
The Super Mario jump.
He's definitely been a solid aspect to this offense, but I mean, in terms of this game though, they seem to struggle a little bit against the Cowboys defense, which apparently is one of the worst defenses in the league.
They were playing us they were playing with discipline.
Yeah.
They didn't cause that many penalties. The penalties that killed them, though, were in the fourth quarter, in the final 2 minutes. A roughing the passer and a pass interference. That's what killed them. And, of course, there's always going to be like that, which we will talk about later, with the refs' favors, and this is, these games are fixed. Check the East Germans' pants. I say that because that was when the Berlin Wall, East Germany, West Germany. East Germany was part of the Soviet side, so that's why I'm like, check his pants! He might be a spy.
History jokes.
History jokes, yeah.
But yeah, so... Well, okay, so why don't you talk about what you had mentioned to me that you wanted to mention something about Skip Bayless.
Yes, I do actually. Now, of course, everyone knows who I'm talking about.
We've mentioned Skip Bayless on the show before. Everybody knows that nobody likes him. He's an awful person.
And he's a diehard Cowboy fan.
Right.
And I screenshotted this last night, and his Twitter was like, in all caps, mind you, with parentheses and a period.
Okay.
Yeah, celebrate, Steelers. You should be hugging the refs.
Oh, so he thinks that the referees are the reason why the Cowboys didn't win this game?
Yes.
Okay. Is it because of those 2 flags at the end of that game?
They're saying those were questionable. And that's why you had Mike McCarthy going like, hell no, that's not it. Again, coaches are always going to do that.
Well,
because that's their team, and also you are like, you're backing your team up, and it's like, hey, no.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you have to fight for your team, because you never know what's going to stick.
Now, I think, and I might have not missed it, but when Juju got a touchdown, he was imitating Terrell Owens.
Oh, yeah? What did he...
Terrell, 20 years ago, when Owens was on the 49ers, they were playing Dallas. He scores a touchdown. He runs to the 50-yard line on the Dallas Star, and plants the football on the Star. And, of course, they were like, slammed George Teague was the safety at that time for Dallas. He pummels him, but gets right back up, and then a fight breaks out.
Oh, Jesus.
But Owen still has the audacity to still do this and, like, put his hands up like, yeah, I did.
Well, T.O. was a bit of a troublemaker.
And he was also, like, not pioneer, but he was kind of like the catalyst for touchdown celebrations.
Right.
Because if you look back on those films and those touchdowns he did, especially with Philadelphia, he was known for, like, the bird flap, the flex. Yeah.
So Juju did the same thing on the Star, or he just?
But he didn't step it on the Star, but he was by the 40-yard line, and then there was the PTSD flashbacks, like, oh hell no, no. But fun fact, the guy who did it was actually his teammate at USC.
Oh.
So he's like, I know Juju. He's on TikTok. I know what he's gonna do and all that stuff. But it was just like, no, we're not having it.
Yeah.
And also, James Conner, the running back, kind of stopped him from doing it. Like, hey, this is not winning us. We're still behind.
Yeah.
So it's like, stop, put the ball down, and let's get back out there.
You don't really want to celebrate when you're losing a game.
But he was just like, I'm in Dallas.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to I was just a little kid when that happened. But actually, T.O. saw that, he tweeted, and he said, I love it.
Yeah.
Show him, Juju.
Yeah. It's, again, this offense is very fun.
But I will say fun, but they've been slow to start.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning. Like, remember a couple games ago, they came out hot, and then all of a sudden, like, the next game, it was kind of, like, slow. I think it was against Tennessee.
Yeah.
They held the ball for almost 9 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it was like, in Baltimore, it kind of faltered. But
yeah, that was very close, that game.
The past 3, Tennessee, Baltimore, and Dallas were kind of close.
Yeah.
Three heart attack games for everyone.
So do you think that, I mean, if they've played, we're going into week 10 next week, so there'll be 7 more weeks to go. So 8 more weeks, because there's 17 weeks.
We're at the halfway point.
So Do you think that they would be able to get a perfect season?
Do
they have I don't know what the rest of their schedule is like. Do they have a pretty tough season?
Well, I'll tell you what I do know without going through the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Next week we host Cincinnati. Then we go back on the road to play the Jaguars. And then we play Thanksgiving against when Baltimore comes to town.
That'll be a very good Thanksgiving game to be
Thanksgiving, prime time. So it's like after
against the Ravens.
Against the Ravens. As soon as you just had dinner and dessert and you kicked all your family members out saying, all right, bye, I got nothing else to talk about at the table.
Yeah.
Boot. I'm going to go watch some games now. And then you go back and have some more food. Because, it's Thanksgiving.
I mean, that's going to be a pretty good game. But, I mean, they were very close playing the Ravens in this other game.
Well, that's common against us in Baltimore. It's always, down by a couple points or a touchdown.
And they're going to be, playing the Ravens again. In that game last week against the Ravens that they were playing, I mean, the Ravens could have won, but Minka blocked that extremely important pass in the end zone, and that kind of helped them win the game.
Kind of seeing a theme here. In the end zone, Minka's there to stop it.
He always seems to be where he needs to be.
That's kind of like what you want in a secondary player. You kind of want, and of course, there's the headlines. Ben came back to save the Steelers again, or Minka saved the Steelers again.
Yeah.
Again, you can look at that all you want and think, what side? I kind of think of it as one side did, both of them did.
Mm-hmm.
With the help from their offense as well. But what made me puzzle it was it's fourth down. They were in field goal range. They could have kicked it and make it you can't catch.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
They ran the ball.
Yeah.
On fourth down and handed off to Connor. He got nowhere, and now they turn it over on downs.
I know. When we were watching it, you said, why didn't they just kick the field goal?
They were on the 20-yard line. They could have kicked it, and then it would have been game over. You can't unless you convert it. That's a good what if. What if we kicked it, and not only that, Boswell got not roughed, but he missed some kicks. He got a block too, and yeah, but he redeemed himself. He kicked the longest field goal,
59 yards,
by a Steeler. No one has ever. Do you know any other kickers who would kick?
I believe that was the record. That he kicked 59 yards was the longest kick in Steelers history.
Okay.
By a Steelers kicker.
By a Steelers kicker. I'm I don't... Because then you have... going off topic here, we're talking about a kicker here.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Tucker.
Justin Tucker is a very good kicker.
I mean...
For the Ravens.
He could kick from, the... over on the other side, and it would go in. And, of course, you always liked his reactions, but he was just
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin Tucker.
He's a very, very good kicker. But, I mean... He kicked 59 yards. That's the most for a Steelers kicker, but I think the longest in NFL history is 66 yards or 65 yards, and they not Justin, what's his name? Something Sly from the Panthers. He kicked a 67-yard field goal yesterday, but the wind took it and he missed it. But he would have made NFL history as the longest kick ever. Yesterday, but the wind was so strong.
Adam Vinatieri would have been proud.
Yeah, he would have. It went up, and you just saw it go boom, and it just went.
Oh, the wind had a. Was this again? What
Panthers played the Chiefs.
Oh, okay.
They would have won that game against the Chiefs. They only lost by 2 points.
They were actually beating them, and then of course, Mahomes came back from behind and started that whole comeback.
But the Panthers put up a fight, especially as a lot of people put that,
Now, funny you mentioned putting up fights. We're 8. The Steelers are 8-0.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have a target now on your back.
Of course.
You're gonna have a target on your back, and people are gonna not want to knock you down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why the Cowboys played us tough.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to put a 1 in that loss column. They want.
I mean, the team that does, if it happens, end up beating the Steelers is gonna be Like, everybody's going to be like,
well,
oh my god, this team means business because obviously they're beating
that's
the
what.
team.
But what made it suck was that you lost to a practice squad QB by the name of Garrett Gilbert.
Yeah, that would have been, and the
that
thing
would
is,
have been
too,
the whole thing talking about it. It would not go away, no matter even if they went 16-1.
If the thing is, too,
loss.
if they lost to the, because I said last week on this podcast, consider them 8-0 because next week's going to be like a nothing game. And I think what happened was the Dallas went in strong, Pitt kind of went in like, it's fine, and
playing down to it.
But
the thing was, we didn't know what quarterback we were going to play until the last minute.
That's true, and it's hard to plan
we don't
defensively.
Because now we're like, it's either Rush, is it either Cooper or Gilbert? And then we're in Dallas, we're breaking news, Gilbert's the starter. Mm-hmm. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Now we were going to have to like, all right, I guess what we'll do what we've done all week.
Right.
I mean, we made adjustments, but it was just like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's just talk quickly about Ben's injury because he injured both. Well, we found out he injured both of his knees in this game. He came out for a couple of snaps, but it was right around halftime. They put Mason in the game. He went to the locker room. They evaluated him. He seemed to be okay. He came back and finished off the game. But is it something to be a little bit concerned about for these upcoming games?
I mean, it's Big Ben. I mean, he's had these knee injuries before.
Yeah.
Go back to like his second season, he suffered a knee injury that needed surgery, but he came back. But it was like probably like that cleanup surgery, like to clean it up. But I mean, after the game, of course they're going to ask you, "How are you?"
Right.
And of course he said, "I'm fine. Thanks for asking."
Yeah. He's
I know Ben about, and he always likes to not manipulate, but he likes to like tone it down, like, you know.
He doesn't want to over-exaggerate his injuries.
And then he never did. And I don't think nobody doesn't like to do that, because then it's headlines all over.
Mm-hmm.
So I think...
I dropped my pen.
Oops. But, my favorite part is that they call it cautionally optimistic.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, that you want to be... you want to make sure you don't get hurt again, but you believe that you can go out, you can play.
You know Ben's going to give him trouble about that.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be... Of course, the fans are going to be like, sit him then, we don't need him for this game.
For next game against the Bengals?
I think you might want... They're thinking about Jacksonville.
Okay, and what's that, in 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's after Cincinnati.
Okay, I mean, maybe. They're without their starting quarterback as well.
Right.
Gardner.
So now, again, we'll have to see as the week goes on. He always has, like, his media day on Wednesday, so by then... Ben's Day, that's what they call it. I didn't call it. I'm like, that would have been very gimmicky and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just going to have to wait till Wednesday and see. And not only that, Tomlin also talks to the media tomorrow on Tomlin Tuesday.
Tomlin Tuesdays, right.
So, of course, he's going to answer questions about that. And he's going to talk about the COVID person that got affected by COVID.
Right, because Vance McDonald now has been put on the COVID list. He tested positive for COVID. And, like, obviously people have been testing positive left and right. But it seems like as of right now, they're not changing any of the scheduling, but obviously things could change. More people could get infected. The game could get postponed. We might get Tuesday Night Football again. Who knows? But I think that you can't go into this Bengals game the same way that you went into this Cowboys game, because they went into this Cowboys game. They let their guard down a little bit, and the Bengals just beat the Tennessee Titans, which a lot of people weren't expecting. So Joe Burrow, that's my guy, one of my guys. Joe Burrow, this team, he puts up a lot of points every week. Your defense is definitely going to have to make sure that they step up to the plate, make sure that they can keep him under control, because otherwise, I don't know. You don't want to lose this game, especially because it's a divisional game. And
right.
To have a divisional game and this is the first time you're playing them, right?
Yeah.
So you never played them before. This is a new Bengals offense. I don't think that they should go into this game thinking like, it's whatever.
No, it's AFC North football. It's a division game. We don't really do that when it comes to a division rival. It's kind of like, all right, back to our normal routine here.
Even if it is the Bengals.
Right. Even if it is, even if you were undefeated, even if they were 3-5-1 or whatever their record is. I know I mentioned the one because they tied.
Yes, they tied against the Eagles.
Now
feels like it was 10 years ago that happened.
Now Zach Taylor has that on his record that he has a tie.
It happens.
Against the Eagles.
It shouldn't happen. We should not have ties in the NFL. It's stupid, but
it's Zach Taylor.
nonetheless. So, going to this Bengals, do you have any sort of predictions what you think might happen? Do you think that they're going to do really well? Do you think they're going to struggle like they did this week? What do you think?
It's too soon to tell.
Okay.
I mean, we're still recovering from that yesterday game a little bit.
Okay.
And not only that, they had the COVID thing. Now it's kind of like, everyone has to do the virtual thing. Everybody's got to do the, indoor activity, but within a 6-foot radius.
Mm-hmm. It's a much different season than it was last year.
That's for sure.
But your guys are 8-0, which is great. You've never, ever experienced this before as a Steelers fan before.
I don't think a
nobody
Steelers
has.
fan from past to present has ever seen this. Even when the glory years of the dynasty area and then when those 2 Super Bowls in the mid-2000s, they never started 8-0. So, again, that's why you ask Steeler fan confidence, Steeler fans get a little schizophrenic a little bit. They get a little superstitious of like, oh, I don't feel good about this. Mm. Because they're just like, it's funny because they're just like, oh, what's going to happen next?
Yeah. I mean,
because you're 8-0 and you don't have a loss, so it kind of puts a bigger spotlight on it.
My guess is that at some point during this year, I don't think that they're going to go undefeated for the entire season.
Oh, even Steeler fans are like, I don't know.
This is too good to be true kind of thing,
Right. I'm like, is this a fluke?
Yeah. But
is this a redemption tour? Is it to just show you like, hey, I'm still here?
But enjoy it while you can.
That's why I have been for 8 weeks.
Yeah. Well, technically 9.
Not technically 9, yeah.
You had your forced bye in week 4.
It feels like 10 years ago.
Yeah, that was so long ago. This season is flying by, but also it feels like it's been going on for like eons. It's forever.
Like it's taking in forever.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up before we wrap it up?
Yeah. Well, just see how this week goes and see how this is our first protocol of COVID thing, so we have to wait and see what else happens.
Right. And it's a big person that's sick. It's Vance McDonald. So he's in contact with a lot of people, so we'll see what happens, but you have all week. We have all week to figure it out and hear from Tomlin tomorrow, and you'll get more info from there. But go Steelers, and let's go 9-0. 9-0! Well, I'm going to have to root against you next week because I have to root for Joe Burrow. Which is fair. Okay, thank you for understanding. Which is fair. All right, well, thank you for coming on, talking some Steelers. You're always welcome, and now you are my most reoccurring guest ever on the show. So thank you for coming. Thank you. And, hopefully Steelers continue on, even though I'll be rooting against them next week. And we are going to jump back to our regular scheduled podcast programming. Okay. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed that interview with my brother. I love talking football with him, so that was really fun. I just want to say really quickly, if you were watching the YouTube video during that, I apologize that the camera kept shaking. I didn't realize that my hand was on the table in which my camera was on, so it keeps jiggling a little bit every once in a while. I just want to say sorry, I didn't realize that I kept touching the table, because if you guys can't tell, watching my YouTube videos, I talk with my hands. I do a lot of talking with my hands, so I apologize. Anyway, let's get into our segments for this week. So first things first, we didn't get to have this last week, so I'm very excited to get it back on our feet this week. our first segment on the show and my favorite segment on the show, Tea Time. Tea Time is my favorite segment on the show because we delve into the hot, steamy gossip of the sports world, and this week, little bit creepy, I must say. So, what's going on our Tea Time this week is that the New York Jets have filed, I guess, some sort of investigation or a complaint to the NFLPA because they discovered that there was security cameras in their locker rooms in hidden locations that they did not know about. And when you ask me that, I mean, I think this is a huge invasion of privacy. The reasoning why they were in there is I understand they were saying that they put those security cameras in there because in case there was any lost valuables or people may or may not have taken things from other people. You know, it can get a little shady sometimes. So when the MetLife Stadium and the training facility in Florham Park, New Jersey was opened back in 2008, they installed these cameras stating that they informed the players and the staff. However, when they asked players from back during those times, a lot of them said they had no idea that there was, and the ones that did know about them were because they asked security to look at some cameras because of missing valuables. So obviously, this seems to be a huge invasion of privacy, a huge lawsuit possibly. They were also saying it's a violation of the collective bargaining agreement, which is, its own thing, but also I think the main thing here is that these men walk around these locker rooms with no clothes on. Whether they're comfortable with themselves, with the other people around them, that's one thing. But to have a camera set up, that is another thing. And also, it's not like a noticeable camera. Apparently, it's more of a hidden security camera. So that's a little sketchy. And I don't think that this is a great thing. They, like I said, they only had those in there because of valuables missing, and I don't know who or why these cameras were discovered. I don't know who noticed the camera was there. Obviously, it was a player in the locker room, but they just were like, I am standing here like in a towel. A lot of guys, their butts will be out and everything will be out. And who knows what this footage is being used for. And I just want to say, I think that this would be a very, very, very much bigger deal if this happened to be a team in which women were on. And the fact that this is an all-males team, I think maybe it might not be getting as much recognition, but it's equally as important because these men still have privacy as well. They should have the same amount of privacy as a woman does. And whether or not this was intentional, whether or not these security cameras were placed for any other reason, it doesn't matter. I think that this definitely has to be discussed with. I think that the players should know about these cameras and consent to the cameras being in there because it is for security reasons. So I think there's going to be a lot of conversation being had in this Jets locker room. So that is our tea time for this week. And like I said, a little bit creepy. Sorry, I'm grabbing my pen. A little bit creepy in this Jets locker room. Okay, let's get into our Let's Talk About It segment for this week. And I just want to say, I was trying to think of something for our Let's Talk About It segment this week. And the events from last week and then something else happening this week kind of helped me figure out what I wanted to do on my Let's Talk About It this week. So this week, we are going to talk about fighting in the NFL. We are going to be talking about fighting in the NFL because it seems like there's a very specific part of fighting in the NFL that I want to talk about because obviously it's a very violent game. People get into it, pushing, shoving, and all that. But the part I want to just talk about, the part of my Let's Talk About It segment, there's always a reason why, is men punching other men with helmets on. Why are we punching people with helmets on? What good do you get out of that? Apart from you having to punch them in the face. Apart from men settling things, some men with some things, settling arguments or things that are happening with a punch. I understand. I get it. But these men have equipment on. They have a hard helmet. It's supposed to help them from getting concussions. And you think that your strong hand, your strong punch is going to come around and punch someone in the helmet and it's going to hurt them more than it hurts you? That makes a zero zip nothing sense to me. That makes absolutely no sense. I get the pushing and the shoving because obviously that is more effective. It makes sense. It really does. But why are you punching people with helmets on? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because last week we talked about it on our interview with Gabe Flayton. There was a big fight in the Chicago-New Orleans game. And it my episode last week was called Chicago Fight Night because it was like this most ridiculous fight. And obviously we are still a little unsure of why that fight happened. And in that fight, a hand was thrown at someone's helmet. And I was just like, that seems silly. And I think we mentioned it last week as well, like, why are we punching people with helmets on? But it happened again this week in the Steelers-Cowboys game. Leighton Vander Esch punched a guy laying on the ground, I forgot who it was, in the helmet. And I'm like, sir, I know that you're a large human being. I know that you are the biggest person in the world, and you're like 300 pounds. I get it. But why do you think that your hand can punch through a helmet? It doesn't make any sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And I'm going to just stop myself here because I will just keep repeating myself. But seriously, guys, gentlemen, you want to fight? It makes for good entertainment. I get it, especially if there's a really solid reason to be fighting on the field. Whether you condone violence or not, when you see a fight breaking down at a bar, in the street, at a football game, in the stands, on the field, anywhere, you're gonna want to watch it. And I'm guilty as charged. Love to watch fights. But I would rather you if you're gonna do that, use more tactical things to be more effective. Maybe it's like an underlying thing where they're like, I don't actually want to hurt this person. And you hurt your hand instead. You could break your hand punching someone in the face without a helmet on. You can you're definitely going to injure yourself if you punch someone in the face with a helmet on. So anyway, I digress. I had to just get this out. This quick little tangent, really fast. Please stop punching people with helmets on. It's stupid. And if you're gonna fight, do it in a way that's gonna be more effective. That's all I gotta say. All right. my Let's Talk About It segments get weirder and weirder, I must say. Because it's just like a free-for-all kind of segment. I can talk about whatever I want. So I just pick the weirdest things sometimes. But yeah, so that's our Let's Talk About It segment. We talked about it. Fighting in the NFL and punching people with helmets on. All right. Tweet of the week. Let's get into our tweet of the week this week. And oh my God, this week, when I saw this tweet, I was floored. I was absolutely so excited. And spoiler alert, it's our man's Eli Manning. We love Eli Manning here. We are big Eli Manning people. I miss him. I love him. He will always hold a very special place in my heart. So Eli Manning, who is quite active on Twitter, I must say, and I really enjoy him kind of trying to that meme of Steve Buscemi with the skateboard, and he's like, "Hello, fellow kids." That's what I feel like Eli Manning is on Twitter. So he tweets out, obviously the Giants got their win this week, so he tweets out at about 9:00 on Sunday, "Hey, Daniel Jones. Want to play a little flip coin tonight? We gotta keep the tradition going." Oh my God. And also, if you don't understand the context behind this tweet, it makes absolutely zero sense. So let me give you some backstory for people who don't understand it really quick. Back last year, obviously, Eli Manning was sat down. Daniel Jones came in. And there was, I believe it was after their first win, or maybe I don't remember exactly. It was after some of their games. Eli Manning, Daniel Jones, and I think some other Giants players went out to a bar, and someone videotaped them playing the game Flip Cup at the bar, and I was living for it. So first of all, the fact that Eli Manning calls it Flip Coin, it just fuels my fire. I absolutely love that. He is the ultimate dad of all time. I love it. Also, the fact that he's saying that he has to play Flip Cup again with Daniel Jones, stellar. Amazing. We love to see it. I would pay good money to see Daniel Jones and Eli Manning play Flip Cup with one another. I want to play Flip Cup with Eli Manning and Daniel Jones. I would pay any absurd amount of money to have that opportunity. Flip Cup was my game. Not so much of a beer pong. I mean, I played it, but I don't really excel well in beer pong. Flip Cup is my game. It always has been my game. Put me as the anchor. I will be your Flip Cup anchor, okay? I love Flip Cup. So to play it with the legend of Eli Manning and his basically biological son, Daniel Jones, would give me such exquisite... that'd be it. I peaked. Send me home. I'm good to go. So anyway, that is our tweet of the week this week. Thank you so much, Eli Manning, for being just an incredible human being. All right, let's finish off our show with our feel-good story of the week this week. And let me tell you, these feel-good stories just bring me so much joy, and I hope that it brings you just as much joy as it does me. And I hope that you guys enjoy the feel-good stories I put at the end of my podcast so that you guys can go off into the world with just a little bit more, warmth in your heart. So, our feel-good story of the week this week is that Buffalo Bills fans, donated over $63,000 to the John R. Oishé Children's Hospital for Josh Allen's grandmother, who died, I believe, Sunday or Saturday, and he still went out and played, and obviously, like we spoke about earlier, had a fantastic game. Fantastic. So, Josh Allen, very, very grateful to the Bills Mafia for doing this under his grandmother's name. This is what he had to say. I can't tell you how special it is to see the outpourings of support for me and my family during this rough time. The donations made to OCH in honor of my grandmother would make her so proud. Thank you, Bills Mafia. It is an honor to be your quarterback. So, it makes me so happy to see these things. And then also, the Children's Hospital online giving form had a special button in terms of the amount of money. So obviously they have $30, $50, $100, whatever. Then they put a special button that was $17, which is Josh Allen's quarterback number, and it has the red and blue stripes behind it, and it was the special number for Josh Allen and his grandmother, and that just even makes it better. And Josh Allen basically was like, I'm at a loss for words. This is incredible. And to have that kind of support, especially when you lose someone, like a grandparent or parent, you go through a really hard time. And to have a fan base like that, Bills Mafia is insane. They are insane, but they are so loyal. And that is just, if that doesn't warm your heart, I don't know what will. So that is our feel-good story of the week this week. And that is our show. Thank you guys so much for listening this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview with my brother. Next week, don't forget, we will have Jordan on the show once again to talk Giants-Eagles again, which will be very, very fun. Don't forget to subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you get your podcasts from. Don't forget to subscribe on the YouTube channel, The Girl Who Talks Sports, and also turn on the bell so that you get notified when I put up your special content videos, because they're coming, I promise. Whether this week or next week, they will be coming. Also, the Twitter TGWTS podcast. Don't forget to give us a follow in there. And also, give my girl at Tongue Tied Apparel a visit if you want custom, vintage, sports gear, whatever team that you want, she will get it for you. So please make sure that you check out the links in my description and of the podcast and of the YouTube channel. And I hope that you all have a fun, fantastic, sports-filled day. Please be safe, wear a mask, social distance, wash your hands, and I will see you guys all next week for, oh my god, NFL Week 10. Bye!